Okay, so for this upcoming Kickstarter for Damage, or Incorporated issue number 5, I am going to be making a part of the Kickstarter rewards 7 by 10 inked sketches from homages into the Indy Comics history. You know, people that inspired guys like me, people who inspired each other to do amazing things. This first one is an homage to James O'Barr the Crow. If you don't know very much about James O'Barr, there was a big movie made off of it, and that movie was fantastic. I remember seeing it as a teenager with my friends, but what really made it important to me was a couple weeks after that movie. Matt took me to a comic book shop called Comics at Comics in Rockland. It was there that I found the Crow graphic novel. And it is honestly the most loved, dog-eared, paper. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little messed up because I read this thing all the time. It's the most brilliant graphic novel I think that's ever been made. And I'm not the only one who feels that way about James's work. James made that thing in a fit of grief. He had lost the only person in the world that made any sense to him due to a drunk driver, and he poured all that pain, all that misery out onto the pages of the book. He created it with no money, no resources, and almost no supplies. Some of the inks were done using old watercolor wash kits out of like Crayola sets. It's an amazing piece of genius work. As a matter of fact, he really hasn't done too much besides that. After it was done, he got out the demon that he had been fighting, and after that, it just didn't have its purpose in the same way. But what it meant to me was it was a part of the body of work that I found that meant that I did not have to mimic the house style of Marvel and DC. I didn't have to be one of the superhero artists. I didn't have to be the best at drawing Spider-Man. I didn't have to be something that I didn't want to be. I was able to find my own voice, my own way of being, and that entry part was the Crow. All of his fear, all of his pain led into that message, where for me, the Crow it's beautiful. It's filled with some of the most amazing artwork that has ever graced any of the pages, in my opinion. And it's an homage to that part of me that didn't think that I could actually make comics when I was younger. You see, I had gotten the lucky opportunity to talk to comic book professionals when I was a certain age, and when I had shown them what I was doing, I was literally told, "Oh, you are not commercial enough. You're never gonna be able to do this, and it's always gonna be this thing you want. But unless you change, you're never actually gonna be a part of that community. You're never gonna be one of us." That gentleman crushed the dreams of my teen mind, and it would be quite some time before I pulled my head up out of my rear over that. But in all honesty, part of it was understanding that men like Kevin Eastman, Sam Keith, James O'Barr, these creators, that they're not commercial. They have their own style, their own voice, and they don't look like everybody else's. Those are the guys that made stuff that I absolutely loved. Drew Hayes, that's another one. Oh, God Hail Poisonells. And Damage Inc. in its way is this homage to the life and experiences that kept me from going insane as a kid. And this homage is an artistic version of that. I'm going to be doing about 10 or so of these. I'm going to do this one for James O'Barr. I'm going to get me some Mike Mignola Hellboy, some Drew Hayes Poison Elves, and they're all going to be real pieces that I go ahead and put out there as rewards. So I want everybody to pay close attention to what's going on at www.angrybrainartworks.com, because that's going to be where you can get updates onto my lists, and later on it's going to be up on Kickstarter. Hope to have it over in early July along with these sketches. I'll be posting a few more videos. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to do a live drawing with my son, who has become a huge Eastman and Laird fan. He's 12 years old, which is literally the same year that I found the Turtles. And I want to hear what he thinks. I want to share what he thinks with everybody. And I'm super proud that stuff like that is becoming a joy for him to watch and a joy for him to read. It's not just the cartoons, it's the books, it's the stories. It's seeing the violence and the frustration and the rage get channeled from all these different things into something creative and something beautiful and something that tells stories to people and lets them add to their lives instead of create stones to bury themselves under in tombs. Life will do that to you if you let it bury you in a tomb. And our decisions are what allow us to move beyond it. And those decisions can sometimes get really hard. And that's exactly what Damage and everything else is all about. It's about finding ways to make constructive, beautiful things and, sharing that with the people that we care about along the way. That's all Damage really is, an homage to the people that I care about. And I wanted to share that with everybody. That's the true purpose of the Kickstarters and the true purpose of making books in the first place. Yeah, you don't want to just drop a bunch of money as you're making the books, but even more than that, you want to make sure that you're adding back into the world. And this is my way of doing that. So for today, James O'Barr's The Crow, 7x10, and both penciled by hand and inked by hand. In this particular case, I did ink it with microns. I have switched over to quills and brushes a long time ago because they make better solid blacks, but in all honesty, I've been digital for so long that when I broke out my inking supplies, they just weren't up to doing the job. So quickest thing for me to do is to get out and get a set of micron style pens and start hitting things up with it. Now these will go ahead and fit in the normal Kickstarter packaging. It's one of the reasons I kept it at 7x10, but it also means that if somebody wants to frame it, they can use a normal 8x10 frame. And it can be used in a lot of different ways or displayed in a lot of different ways, and I try to make it as convenient as I could. Nobody wants to get something crazy magazine size that can't be shipped or is going to cost a bunch of extra in shipping. This can go ahead and just be a beautiful add-on that goes along with anybody else's normal backing. And not only that, but I'm going to make sure that I have all 10 of them done before the Kickstarter is actually over. I plan on doing a little bit of live video when I'm doing at least a couple of them. I really want to do the Turtles one live because I think that one's going to be a lot of fun to do with my son. I have the pencils done for about half of them already. I know Hellboy's finished, and I know I've got Turtles finished, Poison Nose is finished, The Crow is finished, and there's still a few others that I do need to go ahead and get done, but that's part of the fun, as well as learning how to get these videos. I know there's lots of guys running around and making TikToks out of this stuff, and it's easy for them, but I'm kind of learning how to do it, so all of that itself has taken a little bit of trouble. But once again, that's www.angrybrainartworks.com is the website, and on Kickstarter we're going to be having Damage Incorporated issue number 5 here real shortly, and it's going to be out, and the book is already finished. I can't wait to go ahead and get it done. As far as anything you see here, the inking, the questions, you want to understand a little bit more about what I do or how I do it, I'd love to hear from you. You can get a hold of me once again at angrybrainartworks.com, and I'm available on social media, James Burton 2II 1977. And thank you for taking the time to watch.